Welcome back. Today we're going to tie, this is a fly tied way back when. It's just a Marabou Muddler, but it's a mini version of it. It's right here. This fly, I don't know when I started fishing this. It'd have to be, I think, in the late 70s. And it's on a wet fly hook. We'll go through that in a minute. But I was telling Jeremy earlier, I was trying to fish the flying ants down here. It's one of my most memorable days ever on the Madison, and I was fishing these, and this is yellow. I'm going to tie a white one because that's what I fish mostly. But I was kind of getting my butt kicked, and we started running these singles and doubles, and we just twitched them. There's nothing, you just throw it across and just kind of strip them back. And I had one of my top days ever on the Madison. We had, in the upper 20s fish, but we did it in like an hour and a half, or 2 hours. So it was pretty spectacular. And I also fish this fly a lot on small spring creeks and creeks, anywhere, just smaller drainages. I came up with it to fish the Boardman in Michigan, but it's a super fast, super easy fly. Kind of running on that lately. We've been doing a lot of these just, less complicated and just smaller flies, single hook. But this is one that I've just had such great success with this, and it's a super easy fly to tie. Another good one for people who are just starting. But it's a great fly as a backup. And Jeremy asked, the first thing he asked me, he says, you might think they ate it for us. I have no idea. What the hell? I don't know, it's a little tiny minnow, I guess this big, but it fishes great. It's a great bluegill fly, it's a great little bass fly. Any trout I've ever seen will eat it. Brook trout love this thing. And it's super simple to cast and super simple to fish. So, as you can see, it's a small fly. I've got it here, and I'm going to go through it. And again, this is the yellow one. And just to show you what I'm doing, I'm going to use, and I'm going to show you several ways to do the body, because it's just all just a little bit of shine. So we've got a little bit of shine, a little bit of marabou, and a little bit of deer hair. And I'm going to show you a couple ways to work the deer hair with this one, because it's a small fly. But it's super simple. Again, super versatile. This fly is just, man, I've never seen anything that won't eat it. I think, again, I kind of go back to this a lot on my flies. My personal belief is if it doesn't offend the fish, if something doesn't say, oh my God, I'm never gonna eat that, it's curiosity, and they just eat it. Nothing really says, they just come up and just bite it, So, and that one's so small that you hook virtually everything that eats it, because they get a mouthful of it. So, for the hooks, I've tied this almost forever. I've tied it on a 1550 Daiichi, this hook right here. And I'm going to show you two hooks, because I constantly get this. It's a 1550 and a 1530. And what I want you to see, and I'm going to show you to the close-up camera here in a second, but one's a 2 extra strong, or stout, or whatever you want to call it. And you can see it in the hook. I'm going to switch them around so you can, I think in this camera you'll be able to see it better. That these hooks are identical shapes. They're sprout bends, a little bit rounded bend on the hook. But if you look at it, I'm pretty sure you can see this. This is about half again heavier hook, and so it's the 1530, and you can see it'll say right on there 2 extra strong. This is a standard. The 1550 is the standard hook that I always tied it on, but again, really doesn't make any difference. You get one that's really close. I'm doing this on an 8, and so if you get one that's close to that, a size 8 dry fly hook, the hook has very little bearing on it because of the deer hair head. I'm not fishing this deep. I fish it really, generally it's less than, and if you want to put a little weight on your leader or whatever, I don't fish it with sinking lines. I fish it with a floating line 99% of the time. And I'm usually fishing shallows. I cast it across stream. I don't do anything fancy. I just kind of strip it back. I twitch it, strip it, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just make it dart. And if you want to swing it like a wet fly swing, it's really incredible. Matter of fact, you can also do this with as your point fly and run your wets above it, and it's a pretty cool, it'll kind of give you a clothesline effect where you can have one higher and 2 below it, because it's a little bit, the head's going to keep it up just a little bit. So anyway, you got the hooks there. Body wise, I've tied so many ways with this. I'm going to do it kind of what I think was the original version, which the style I did. But if you want to use Unifloss, or, you know, oval tinsel, it saves you a lot of, it saves you going counter ribbing it. The stuff's super strong. It's such an easy fly. You don't have to worry about durability with this thing. If you lose one, so what? You know, it's if you're not shooting your mouth off like I do, you're going to tie this thing in 2 minutes. And so originally though, I think I used gold mylar and then counter ribbed it. Gold mylar, silver or gold. Silver and gold. Mylar's silver on one side, gold on the other. And so for those of you that are just starting, each side has a different color, so it's really economical. I'm going to also, this is what I think I started using as soon as this stuff came out, I started using this stuff. It's just holographic Flashabou. And you know, you're going to use this stuff sooner or later in a fly. It makes a great body. It's the same stuff. It's the same as Mylar. And so that's what I'm going to use in here. And I'm going to counter rib it with some small silver wire right over top. But all that does is give it, it's two-part. One, when you look at this fly underneath here, it's got, you can see it's kind of ribbed underneath there. And you can see that counter wire. What that does, it gives a little bit of detail, a little bit of ribbing, but it also makes it pretty durable. So if a fish, you know, gets a hold of it, your body doesn't unwrap and just, you're sitting there with a bare hook. Thread-wise, man, just about anything's going to work. Well, I forgot one thing. Some short fine deer hair. That's going to be your head. So on your thread, anything, you know, it'd be a little bit, 3/0 thread would be fine if you're using traditional nylon. I'm using 12/0 Semperfli Nano Silk. I love this stuff. Low build, can't break this stuff. It's great. Any color, it doesn't matter what color you use because you're going to cover it with the deer hair anyway. So, onward here. So I'm going to take this hook and I'm going to start this again. If you don't have one, you don't have a sample, but I always preach about this. I'm going to turn this thing over so you can see the bottom of it more. And you can see basically, if I can keep my hands on here, I'm constantly putting my hands in front. You can see basically where you want your thread to start is where that deer hair starts. So right about there. And so if you don't have a sample, if you're guessing, make it about 20% and just tie one up, put it together. If it's too small or too big, just change it. And so we're going to start here. And I like you to do that because you don't get, you know, you put your thread on here. If you've got a sample, you can, this thread's virtually impossible to see, but if you've got a sample, you can come in here and see right there, nothing gets to go in front of it. So you aren't going to rush anything. So, pretty simple. Come in here, I'm going to take this wire right now. It just saves me doing a back and forth step. For those of you who don't know, this is a new spool, so I haven't put a spool tender on it yet, but this stuff gets wrapped around here. You can get the little, I don't have one sitting here, but you can get little spool tenders for these. I would suggest you spend the $2 or whatever they are. So it threads through it. I don't have one sitting out. Is there one right there?
Z-Mint.
Right next to the what?
Z-Mint.
Z-Mint. Ah, right here. These little things. These are just cool little deals. They fit over top of this. Stuff doesn't go crazy and fly all over the place. So usually I like to take this, and I'm not right where the head started. I wrap back just a little bit, and I'm going to, because with everything we're always looking for a taper, I like to fold that over. So just fold, give me you. It's going to be one of these fight me days. So fold that over, start your taper, come right over the top so you can see everything. Nice even wraps. Come back here. I already pulled a couple of these. I told you I use this holographic Flashabou. I'm going to take this. It's got 2 strands. I'm just going to wrap it around the thread. Come right over top here. Just get it started. Cinch it down. Nice even wraps coming back forward. Doesn't matter if you got 2, 3, however many strands you want. It's just a lot. If you use 2, it's a little bit more durable. I don't even know. There might be 3 on there. I don't know. I just kind of grabbed them and looked. But if you try to do a single, it can be a pain. You'll stretch it a little bit more than you should, and it's just this speeds things up. So we can go forward. That's kind of started to unstrand on me a little bit there. I don't want that. I've got too many in there. I've got 3 strands on this one. And just look, it's hard for me to see this thread because it's the brown thread and it's really about the same color as the hook. So 2 turns around here, just secure it, set it, pull this off. And generally speaking, when you do this stuff, you would counter wrap. You'll see, if you were worried about, if you had a hackle on there, you've seen me do that before. You generally do, this one I just do, I don't counter wrap it, I just go right over top of it. This body's pretty obscured with everything. It's just a little flash, and so once it's all tied, there's not, it's just a little tiny flash underneath there. Now I've done 2 turns right here, and I just break that off, set the excess, always work with more than you need. Man, if you try to go just exact, you're gonna end up fighting it at the end. 2 turns, set that aside so you can reuse it. And just come in here and catch that, just a couple turns over top of that thread. Now, the next thing is Marabou, and I know most people, you know, have seen, it's not the first video I've seen. And so you see, I always talk about this stuff where I like to use the whole stem. And I always talk about the strung Marabou. Strung Marabou, there's 2 types. There's strung, and then there's the quills, and there's what's called woolly bugger Marabou, which is this stuff right here. Woolly bugger Marabou, I frequently say I use it for covers. It doesn't really, I don't like it in my wings or my tails because it's too short. You can use the standard, but this is one time when you go through, this is where it's short enough, the wing's short enough, it's a great use for woolly bugger Marabou. But you still have to go through and pick one that's going to be the right density and length. You don't want one that's, that one's pretty good right there. I was trying to find one that wasn't very good. This one's really fuzzy, man. That would make like 3 of them. This is all, most of these are all pretty good. I don't see that would be really bad in here. That one's kind of too short at the end, but the edges are good. But I'm just going to take this, and if you wanted to, I'm going to show you here quick. If you're trying to, and you could be economical on this one, you could come in here and pull an inch or an inch and a half of that and make a money wing. I mean, it's perfect. It's just like that. You could do that, and again, if you did that, if you watched, there's 2. So 1 plume, don't put this stuff in your mouth. You end up like Johnny. There's 2. I could have probably shortened that up a little bit and got 3 sets of wings out of 1 plume. I'm just going to use the tip. I'm going to just wet that a little bit. Take, you know, look at this sample here. You can see it's about twice the length of the body. So I'm going to come in here, just look at it. You can see, if you want to judge, you know, like that, just come in, nice clean piece, leave it stick. You want it to flutter. So come in here, just pull that, 1, 2, 3 turns is plenty. Cut it off. Run that out just a little bit so you got your tape, so it's not a big bump. Work yourself back. Take a piece of just, you can get away with a little bit longer hair here. This isn't really, there's not a lot of function to this. The collar is not as big a function on this one as it is on like a Zoo Cougar or a Dungeon or something like that where it's supposed to be pectoral. I don't even know why we put collars on this one. I don't think it really matters. It makes it look cool. And so we're going to take this, any ex-caddis, any short fine, any hairs would be fine. This isn't short, this is standard, just deer hair. I don't like to have really thick stuff on this. I like to have kind of a, you can see this is kind of fine hair even though it's long, but it's we're just not looking for such a buildup as we do on the other ones with these minis. So I'm going to stand this hair up just so I can go ahead and cut it clean. This is really, really good hair right here. So I don't really need to clean it, but you see I do this in all of them. And it's just a good habit. Just clean it. You know, if you don't have a brush, I had a comb sitting around here somewhere. Same thing, just take your comb and just, if you don't have one of these things, just take it, clean it out a little bit, and just do this with your fingers, it'll be fine. And so I'm just gonna look, say I got just about enough there. It doesn't have to be a really bulky head. You can see in this one, it was a bleached hair, but it's really more for, it's a kind of a detail more than it is anything functional, because it just kind of blends the head into the body and smooths the whole thing out. I've got, this is the medium J-neck stacker here, the swinger stackers, the original ones. Man, these things, I said this, we just finished the caddis videos, and I told everybody on the short fine, this is my favorite one, period, the little tiny one for the short hair. But on flies in that 8 to, you know, anything from 8 to maybe a 12, this is a great size. You could do it on the mini, or you could do it on the big one, even with hair this long. You know, obviously I've got all of them, so it's a good, the medium's a good fit for this kind of hair. So I'm looking this over, and I'm switching my hands, and I'm looking to see the tips are all nice and even. And then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to set it to where I'm going to, I block this constantly when I do this. I set it so I'm trying to keep my hands out of the way. So I've got it back, just kind of look at this one's a little longer. I like it to go back about 1/4 of an inch, thereabouts, into the body, right? It's just a little wing. So I'm going to take that, just kind of guess it. You know, I look at it. You're not going from the eye of the hook. You're going from where you're going to tie it in. So I want it in about right there. Just transfer your hand. We're going to cut this nice and square, just straight cut. We're going to come in here, do 2 turns. You do the first one. Excuse me, I forgot to say something. Turn your thread to spin your bobbin to the right. That'll lay your thread back against your hand, and you won't fight that. So I'm going to come in here, and you can see it start. I'm just going to let go right now. You can see the thread, right? It's right there. Do 1 is it pull down just a little bit. You'll see it dig into the hair. And as it digs in right there, you follow it with your second one, and then you just hold on. I've got a really firm grip on my thumb and my forefinger. I'm not letting it wrap around the body at all. It's all going to be in the top half. And just pull straight down. There's that little tiny elk hair caddis style head. I want you to go two or three turns right through it, and just squash it down. Make sure everything's, you know, nice and clean, nice and splayed. You shouldn't have any on the bottom. When you flip it over, got a little marabou in there. When you flip it over, you should see the body, nothing else. You shouldn't see the deer hair all the way around. If you did it right, it'll be even on both sides. Then we're going to take another one of these, and I talked about this. I'm going to show you how to spin it. But I'm going to show you another technique that Jack Gartside showed me, especially on these little flies. It's just super simple way to do this. And he did it when he showed me. They said it was 8/0. I don't remember 8/0 thread back then. This was a long time ago. I'm pretty sure he did it with 6/0 Danville. But nonetheless, that's not very strong thread by today's standards. And he would tie these heads, and they're like indestructible. I'm just going to show you both ways to do it. We'll do the regular first, and then we'll do the Gart. I'll take it off and do a Gartside. And so we're going to take this hair. That's way more than I need. Way more than I need. This is not, we're not sculpting a head on this. We're not building a, this is a tiny little head. I cut the tips off here. And then just show you, I watched Andres do a thing on this, and he was talking about how he stacks his hair different than spinning. It's the same thing. We've always said the same thing about how you get this around. It's just hard to explain. What you're trying to do is start with this hair on the top of the hook, but as you put your pressure on the thread, you try to work the hair all the way around in advance. And that, generally speaking, when people have problems spinning hair, they put it up here and they just kind of rush, and then they have a gob up there on top of the hook like that. And they keep going, and they don't let and you can see really well right there, all the hair is on top of the hook. That's a bad deal. You come in here and you put your first one in, and you just let it work around the hook. Let it get around it, put your second one, and now you can see that it's around, it's starting to go around the hook. I don't let go of that, like quite there. But as it works around it, now I'm not gonna fight this hair, and it's gonna, when I pull, I'm going to spin it. It'll go around maybe once. If it's worked around like that, it won't go anywhere. If it's all the way around the hook, pull in tight, you're good. So then you can see that we're right at the eye of the hook. All right. Now that's kind of spinning. Hey, just knocked my deal off there. I'm going to go back. Now I'm going to show you how the Gartside, I went one extra turn there. So now I'm going to show you this Gartside technique. And I don't know if it's actually Jack's or not. Jack was a phenomenal tyer. I did a few seminars with him. He was a unique cat, boy. But he had a lot of his own styles of doing this stuff. And this, I'm going to show you his. So I've got, a nice little bundle of hair here. Same thing. I'm going to go right in tight to my collar. I'm going to do 2 turns. And I'm going to let this just work down around. And I'm not going to work about spinning this now. Right? It's just not that much hair here. I'm going to let it work down. And then I'm going to, okay, so it's pretty much all the way around. And I pull tight. Now you got this really spun up little hair. And this is the guard side technique, where he would sit here and he'd set it on top and he would make 1 or 2 turns just like that. But then the key is he goes right through it. And he does it really fast. And I want you to see something. Every time I do that, you see how it kind of stands the hairs up? I keep standing them up and standing them up, and they just keep going. You go right through your eye until you're at the front of the hook. I can do another one. It won't trap them. It'll stand each one up. The hair's sitting there like some of them are flared, and this hair's forward, one hair's up like this. When your thread catches that, it bends it and sticks it up in the air. It's unbelievably easy, super efficient, but the key to that, and I've told a lot of people when they tell me their heads are spinning, I'm just going to give myself room, there we go, just enough room to get the head on there. Get my hands out of the way, get out of there. So I'm just whipping that head off, just nice little clean. But what you can see with that, it's such an easy technique because you go through it and you try it. Jack said he liked to go 1 wrap right in front of the next. I mean, just really tight, right? Boom, boom. And you'll see the hair go boom, boom, stand up every time, right? But you cannot, and he would always do this, the thing, and he'd throw you the head and say, go ahead and try to spin it. And you can't. I mean, if the thread's tight, as it should be, it should go right around the head. Each one's individually spun and stuck up in the air, and you can't physically, cut that thing or twist that thing. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut this. You can do that. Whoops! Don't get that in front of the camera. Got yelled at. So just cut that off. If you want to do it with a blade, this is one you could do either way. If you want to do it with a blade, just take your blade, come in here, cut it, get a sharp blade. This blade shot. Johnny must have been using that to cut his fingernails. So I haven't picked on Johnny for a while. So I'm just coming in here, I'm just going to trim this up. We're not looking for, this takes longer to do this than it does to tie the fly. We're going to come in here, just trim it up. No, it's not a big deal. We're not looking for any specific shape so much. It's kind of just a round little head. Get it close like that, take it out of the vise, just pick them around, come in here and just clip them. Just the excess. Voila. And again, just look over the whole thing, any shape you like. I kind of tend to make mine a little bit bullety, a little bit more pointy on the head. But not like on the zoo cougars and stuff like that. It's not supposed to be a wedge or a big bulky head like a sculpin. It's supposed to be a little minnow, I guess. I don't know what the hell it is. Never have figured out what they eat this thing for. All I know is they eat it like crazy. Okay, in the interest of time, I will stop that. I would trim that up just a little bit more. I like them kind of fine. I'm not going to do much more on it, just so we can get out of here. Make sure this bottom's flat. Nice clean cut right here. Flat head. Collar's up there. So it needs a little bit of trim right now. Drives me crazy. The good news is I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see it that well anyway. Jeremy will tell me. Got a hair there. All right, so I can see one hanging out there. That's all there is to it. There's a few straggler hairs in there just going crazy because I didn't put my glasses on. Don't get old. There's no future in it. So there you go. You can see it's got this little shiny body underneath it. Super easy body. And if you wanted to do the oval, any kind of flash under there, you could use it. If you want to use the oval tinsel, it would save you a step. A little bit of wing, you know, just a little bit of marabou, small collar, small little head. Try this anywhere. I don't care where you fish. I don't care if you're on the White River in Arkansas or if you're on some spring creek in the Midwest. They'll eat this thing. It's just not offensive, and it throws a nice little profile in the water. They really dig it. So, hope you like it. Hope it helped you out.